Hi, everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. I'm so excited to introduce our guest tonight, but first off, I'm excited to have this guy back. He looks a little relaxed and kind of kicked back. He's been off on vacation for several days, so that's why he looks so cool, calm, and collected. But anyway, I just want to introduce the co-host and co-creator of Internet Citadel, Brian Kelly. Brian has been a software engineer for over 20 years. He also co-owned a travel-based MLM for over 6 years. He has been involved in network marketing and internet marketing for some 20 plus years. He's not that old, guys, okay? He also is a social media enthusiast and also a budding speaker. He's got some things in the work on that end. If you look down below, Brian is actually the creator of Tweet Performance. So for anybody that needs some help in the area of Twitter, it's a phenomenal program to help you do a step-by-step. But anyway, what he does best most recently is just put this show together for us each week, and I am proud to call him my friend. And welcome back off of this wonderful vacation you've had, Brian Kelly. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Excellent. My goodness, Kathy, you got to stop doing that. This is hard to follow up on these unbelievable introductions. Had a vacation. It was wonderful. I am so glad to be back, though, because of our special guest that we have tonight. Before we introduce her, though, I have to reciprocate because you got to follow that up and introduce to everyone our wonderful co-creator and co-host and my personal very close friend, Kathy Stover. She's got over 25 years experience as an operations manager and sales manager, and this is with a Fortune 500 company. Affiliate marketing experience dating back to the early 90s. More recently, she's become extremely proficient at social media marketing as well. And in fact, she has clients that are coming to her to help build their social media empires, and she is phenomenal. But that's another topic for another day. She has network marketing or MLM experience dating back to the mid 80s. In fact, that's where she and I met, was at a network marketing event. We have since moved on from that genre of business, but she is phenomenal at network marketing as well. She's a marketing mogul, unbelievable. She's also a power seller and recognized as such via a certificate, a power seller from via eBay, and also a top rated seller on eBay. Those are very difficult designations to acquire, and you have to actually do a considerable amount of business on eBay and get very good ratings from those who you sell to. So that tells you not only is she good at what she does, but she's also based on high integrity in her business dealings. She's also, as she mentioned, I'm a budding speaker. It's really, we are budding speakers together. We've got a lot of projects in the mix, and we're very excited about that. But without further ado, I'd like to turn it back over to Kathy so you can bring on our very, very special guest for tonight.
Yes, and I want to make sure that I read this and read this good because she is absolutely incredible. I want to tell you about this great gal. In the early 1980s, Debbie's 2 children were under 2 years old, and her husband was an active duty, involved in active duty in the Army, and life was eating her alive. Some of you moms can kind of feel where this is going. No dinner ready, messy house, sticky floors, etc. She was totally overwhelmed, and then started, you're not going to believe this, a home business on top of that. What the heck was she thinking? But for survival, Debbie designed a system to simplify activities so that she could carve out time for her business. So right there, that tells you that she had a lot going. Soon, friends and family wanted to know her smart cut systems. She began teaching local workshops and published Organizing Without Agonizing in 1988. After creating her own entrepreneurial ventures and over 25 successful years in internationally known direct selling companies, Debbie became the Business Mom Mentor. Experience has made her a great resource for the business mom who finds herself struggling and juggling the demands of running a household, caring for the family members, volunteering in the community, and expanding business simultaneously. I know a lot of us can identify with that. Debbie now loves speaking. She teaches teaching and working internationally with private clients who refer to her as, and I just love this, is so endearing, the fairy godmother. Her passion is mentoring business moms or mums, depending on where you're at in the world, worldwide, to find smart cut solutions to simplify life and create serenity, prosperity for their businesses and families. And what I want to tell you is Debbie will make your life simply brilliant. I would like to introduce our special guest tonight, Debbie Cannon. Welcome, Debbie.
Thanks, Kathy and Brian. It's really fun to be here with you. We spent some time together in San Francisco not long ago, and this webcam thing makes it possible for us to keep up our friendship.
Fantastic. It is wonderful to have you on, Debbie, and it was great to meet you at the event that we went to together in San Francisco. We didn't go together, but we met there. And Kathy and I were immediately taken aback by your level of integrity, the way that you handled yourself at the event and throughout all the discussions that we had amongst each other in the back rooms when everybody is, their real self. Nobody really hides much back there, and you stood out to us as someone of great integrity, and you definitely have experience under your belt. Your credentials speak for themselves. What led you to become the Business Mom Mentor?
Well, Kathy's kind of touched on it in the beginning. It was really a matter of necessity being the mother of invention. I did it just for myself because life was not pretty. It was literally eating me alive. I was stuck to the kitchen floor in the afternoon with my 2 kids climbing all over me. I have hypoglycemia, so I couldn't even decide what was for dinner. I had UFOs in my freezer. That's unidentified frozen objects. And, pasta but no sauce. Just nothing would come together for me, and it was just a miserable situation to be in. I think I started the home-based businesses really as an escape mechanism, which in turn actually kind of added more to my plate. But sometimes as women we do that. We look for an out, something to distract us. So I talk about entrepreneurial ADD, which is attention distraction disorder.
Oh, I like it.
So that's really kind of where I started. And then I had a bulletin board that one of my girlfriends had made for me in high school. And I used that during high school to really modify my schedule and keep up with all the ins and outs of a busy teenager. And I still had that as a young mom. And so I took that and created a system where I could really keep tabs of all my recurring activities, get everything scheduled. I don't think you can create balance. I think it's really a matter of creating rhythm. And so that's what really helped me to get through it. And then people around me just started noticing that I had something change. Something had gotten better in my life, and they wanted to know the secret. So that's when I began teaching by popular demand, and eventually was encouraged to write my 2-hour and 14-minute workshop into a book, because some people could not really just absorb everything that I had to share with them in 2 hours and 14 minutes. And now I continue to break that down into smaller segments, because nowadays we're even busier and we have less time. So it needs to be in small bite-sized pieces for people to make those simple changes.
Well, one of the things in the title that we put on the show for tonight is how to stop drowning in paper overwhelm, and how to start enjoying life. And I know I can speak for myself. In fact, I got to back up a little bit. Debbie and I had a conversation the other day, and I told her, I said, yeah, I'm pretty organized in my mind. And then I kind of started sharing some of my paper things that I have about me, and that we kind of figured out that maybe I'm not as organized in the paper department as I thought. So talk to us a little bit about that, because I know, Brian, how about you? You have some paper issues at your house?
Just a few. Yeah, you should see this office. It's a complete mess, disarray. That's why I love having this makeshift studio here. And it's not only paper, but also my computer and the files organization of folders. I've got stuff in folders and email and such, but I know I could do better. Kathy, you are a much better organizer than I am, but yeah.
So we're saying help us.
Yes, exactly. We could use the help, definitely.
Well, I think the first thing to realize is, we were I'm probably a little ahead of you in the generations, but I know when computers came in, they said computers was going to make us a paperless society.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to tell you they lied about other things too, because that has not happened. In fact, now we have printers, and printers in our homes and printers in our businesses and everybody else's businesses and everybody else's homes. It's just putting out paper faster than Lucy in the banana factory. And we are literally drowning in paper. And, you know, there's more junk mail than I got 20 years ago, for sure. It's just rampant. So that's really why I started working with this, because my clients really needed to realize what that high cost of paper disorganization is. Because us creative types who are entrepreneurial or maybe own our own businesses or whatever is busy activities in our life that takes up our time, we really don't want to stop and deal with the paper. You know, we moan and we groan and complain about it, but do we stop and deal with it? Not usually. So tonight we're going to start to deal with it. I think you have to realize that you have a lot of lost income when your paper is askew, because you can't find the things you need, whether it is a hot lead from a networking event or whether it is some important document that you just put together, a report that you had to do, a speech that you have to give, whatever it is, whether you've really lost it in your computer or in physical paper. It causes a lot of frustration, it causes stress. That, of course, then leads to illnesses and disease and just lost opportunities all the way around. So it takes up our time, the time we could be spending doing something that we enjoyed more, being with our families or pursuing a hobby or some other interest or just building our business. So there's a high cost to paper disorganization, and I think we need to just face the fact and start to deal with it.
And you know, that's really what we need to do, is just deal with it, and that's a difficult thing to do without, you know, proper organizational skills. Like, I really don't have very good organizational skills. And it's kind of like an author looking at a blank sheet of paper. Where do I start? It's the exact opposite. I got so much clutter. Where do I start? How do I, you know, I've got ideas to collect stuff, sell it on eBay, because I know somebody who's really good at that. Wink, wink, Kathy, that can help me get rid of a lot of those items. But so help us out. What are the first steps to get out of the overwhelmed swamp to enjoy guilt-free personal time and business prosperity? What can we do?
Yes.
What can we do to get out of that?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do, I work with a three-step process, and the first step is to clear. And that is clearing as far as getting a visual picture, a mental picture of what it is you're after. How do you want things to look? When you're talking about paper in your office, you know, do you want to get the paper off the kitchen counter? Do you want to get it off the dining room table? Do you want to get it off the floor of your office? I know there's paper there. You know, we all have it. So you have to stop and think, how do I want this to look? How do I want it to feel when I come into my office or my home? You know, do I want to have it just cleared out? So I think you have to get a mental picture. So part of that is the visualization that needs to go into it. And the second part of getting clear is just literally clearing out the clutter. The National Association of Professional Organizers says that we only really use about 20% of really anything in our life. So that's certainly true of paper. We probably tend to keep too much paper. I think that comes from spending our educational years in traditional schooling where we depended on paper. We had textbooks. I know lots of my clients, probably most of my clients, still have their high school, well, not high school, but their college textbooks, you know, packed out in a closet somewhere. They're hoarding all this paper, and it comes from a fear. I see Brian laughing, but it's a fear of there's information and I might not be able to find it, and oh my goodness, what will happen? The world will blow up if I don't have this piece of paper. But the reality is you can't find it anyway because it's buried under your kitchen cabinet or you know, in the floor, and you filed it and you have no idea where you filed it. The reality is that most of the paper that you really need is probably available online nowadays and obsolete in about a minute and a half. Information that you've maybe printed off the internet, by the time you get it printed, it's already old news. So we need to keep less paper. I'm making a real soapbox plea here to keep less paper. I think really when it comes down to paper that you need for your taxes, that's paper that you might need, although you could scan it or keep it somehow electronically as long as you're well backed up. I use a system called Carbonite. There's plenty of them out there that back up your computers, you know, long distance remotely. Family pictures or historical documents, things like that of your family history, those might be important papers that you really want to keep, but when it comes down to your gas bill, your electric bill, your phone bill, all that's online now. What other kind of paper do you have in your office that you really need to keep, that you're using? Probably not much. So I think the important thing is to get rid of it.
So I'm thinking, you were talking about bills and stuff, you know, oftentimes people still receive that in the mail. They might pay them online, but they get the physical bill in the mail. So would you suggest it comes in, you pay the darn thing? If you're mailing it out, fine. If you're paying it online, go just crunch it up, right? Stick it in the grinder.
I think a lot of it can be shredded, because if you really needed to recoup that, if you really needed to recoup those kind of documents, you're probably going to be able to go back through the gas company and get it. I write down the confirmation numbers when I do payments online. I do keep a physical check register, and I just write the confirmation numbers in that check register underneath that payment.
There you go.
Well, you know, let me ask you this. How do you get, because it's hard when you're used to touching, you know, we're used to touching it and seeing it. How do you shift your mind to say, you know what, just let go of the dang thing and put it in the shredder or throw it away, whatever you're going to do? I mean, there's got to be a little bit of a process, I would think. More for others, less for others, right?
It is a mental shift. And I think the reality comes in for most of my clients when I'm working with them. Once I point out the fact that everything you bring into your life, and that means a pair of shoes, a piece of mail, a kid, a pet, a lamp, it doesn't matter. Everything you bring into your life is going to take your time, your space, your energy, and probably your money to use it and maintain it. How much of your, however many minutes you're given on the earth, do you want to spend dealing with this paper? What would you rather be doing? You know, it's kind of like I'd rather be fishing.
Right. Well, you know, I almost have this visual of some people when you say, got to get rid of the paper, you know, where you see the picture of the kitty and all four of his legs are out, and, you know, he's blocking the door because they want to take him in to give him a bath, and it just doesn't want to do it, so there's some resistance. I don't know, I just see that. It's like, no, don't make me get rid of all my paper. But part of the organizational process that you take people through is that, number one, you teach them and show them how to get organized and not have all of that, and how they can release that and just let it go, correct?
Yes, I think a lot of it is making a very conscious decision and realizing how much that's costing you to keep it and to sort through it and look for it. So if it's worth keeping, it needs to be kept in a way that you can really function with it and use it. And we really need to stop and ask myself, under what circumstance would I really need to recoup this piece of paper? And most of my clients, when they start asking that, they're thinking, well, you know, I don't know. I just think someday I might need it. If the word someday comes into the play here, that's probably a good clue, because someday is not on your calendar. There is not a day of the week called someday. So when you think someday I'm going to fit in these jeans, or someday I'm going to wear that pair of shoes, or I'm going to read this book, or look at this article from a magazine. I know lots of people pull out articles or keep old magazines, and you think someday. In actuality, one of the things that started me doing the get rid of, even before I was back working in this simplification strategies, was one of the national sales directors in the company that I was working with at the time was getting ready to accelerate herself into the upper echelon. And what she did to help herself grow more rapidly into this new level of business was she cleaned stuff out. She had a lot of notebook binders of, you know, great sales ideas and blah, 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 product techniques and everything. And she just ditched them all. And she said what she realized was everything that was worth having was going to be back on her desk in about 6 months. And in actuality, that's true. And when I was working in direct sales, you know, if you had a great idea for a Christmas sales project, you're going to get another one's going to come through the email or online or be available to you again in the fall of next year before you need it. And it's already going to have your new products or the newest, latest, greatest, whatever's going on. And that's true in most areas.
Very
Well, you know
interesting.
what's interesting about that? We get overwhelmed with emails, right? I mean, I know people who actually get the emails and print them off and keep them because they want to get them out of their inbox. So they feel like if they print them, they've got them sitting in a stack, they'll be able to go back and read them later.
And
So
how much of their life are they going to spend to go back and read them later?
Right.
well, and money just printing the dang things off,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
paper's not inexpensive.
It sounds like
Ink's worse than that.
Yeah, right.
it sounds like there are like two areas to
I think it's
concentrate
just
on.
becoming conscious. Yeah, it's just becoming conscious of how much of your time, your space, your money that you're willing to put into paper. And really stop and have a real, pardon, but come to Jesus with yourself about whether you're really going to go back. Have you ever gone back and looked for this stuff?
Exactly.
Most of the time, when I find something like that, oh, well, I remember this, that, and the other, it would take me so long to go back and dig through it, and I've got it pretty well organized. So it would take me so long to go back and go through it. It's faster to just recreate it or Google it again.
Yeah, the Google thing, that's there's a lot of truth to that one. I'm thinking this through as you're talking because there's actually...
I have to tell you, we just transferred my computer over, and I went to using Gmail instead of Outlook. And when my daughter moved all my email over into the Gmail so I can use it, I had like 40,000 something old emails back 2 years ago still hanging out in Gmail. And so we did a few clicky things and got rid of them. But, you know, that is just amazing how much email. It was everything that I had brought in or sent out for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm an electronic pack rat myself, but I use Outlook and then I use an auto archive feature that comes with it. But yeah, I keep mostly the business stuff, but can always retrieve it. But like you said, you can back it up on a backup service and get rid of it. Put it over on an outside source. If you need it that badly, it's there. It may take a little extra time to retrieve it, yes, but it's worth getting the clutter out so that you can clear your mind and work your business. But it sounded like there are like two major phases. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the first one is getting over the mental hump, and this is where I got to start, which is the shock and awe of what I'm looking at over here that no one else can see. Thank goodness. It's my wife and I share an office, and we both need to dig in deep. And the books, I've got them. I've got a bunch of college books I'm looking at over here, all these engineering books and things I did for software engineering.
And I won't ask how long you've been out of college, but it wasn't in the last 6 months to a year, right?
It's been just maybe a month or two longer than that, yeah.
Yeah. And have you ever needed to go back and look at those books?
No, and my thought at the time was my kids might someday need them. It's like, my gosh, they're going to have their own books.
Oh, yeah, that's a famous one.
Yeah.
My grandmother saved my potty chair until my children had children. And I'm here to tell you, my kids did not want any of the stuff that got saved by my mother or my grandmother or myself. They have their own stuff, too much of it. So this saving it for your kids is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad we're having this show because, we did talk during when we met in San Francisco, but none of this came up. We didn't have the time, number one, but this is good stuff because, wow, I mean, I think about daily almost when I walk through here how much floor space we could save because we've got stuff from businesses dating back
one of the
years.
things that will help you with this mental process, Brian and Kathy, is to think about the cost per foot of the home that you're living in, whether it's apartment, a house, whatever. If you're buying a home, you're probably looking at the cost per square foot.
Right.
I am sure very few people on this program are even looking at $50 a square foot for the house they're living in. Okay, that's a pretty modest footage rate in these times. And you're in California, I'm sure it's like not even close to that. But even just think about $50. Now think of a square floor tile, like an old linoleum floor tile that was probably in the floor of your school. Every square like that in your home if that cost you $50, is what you have in that square foot worth $50 to you? Do you use it? Do you care about it? Does it benefit your life in any way, shape, or form, or is it just stuff? Probably not.
Love it.
So think of, every book that you've got stacked up in there. If you had a whole stack full of your college books, is it worth $50? If you were paying to put it in a storage shed, the numbers of how many storage sheds have come up in the country in the last few years is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And nobody even knows what's in the storage shed. It's crazy.
Well, even
So I'm really like, let's move it out.
When you drive through neighborhoods and people have the garage door open and you see all of the stuff in there, it's like,
I do.
You ever see that stuff? I bet they don't even know what stuff's in there.
They don't. I work with them as clients. They don't.
Yeah.
It's lost and gone forever. It's fallen in the black abyss, and they have no idea. But the same thing happens with paper. I've worked with clients who have had over 80 bankers' boxes of papers.
Wow.
And could you ever even find, most people, I was talking to my husband today, another client I'm going to work with here shortly, and one of the things is she's, when she gets a full filing cabinet, they just go out and buy another filing cabinet.
Wow.
In our society, that's the solution. But eventually, the law of physics is going to enter in here, and you can only fit so many filing cabinets into your footage. And eventually, you're going to take so much time to go back through that. I started letting go of my business paperwork, my entrepreneurial direct selling business. I started letting go of that hot and heavy when I watched my senior, who had recruited me into that company, drowning in the paper, and she would just spend day after day after day weeding through all this old paper, and I thought, nuts to that. I don't want to do that. I want to have time to move forward in my business and at least enjoy my life.
We know there's a lot of home-based business folks that view our show week after week, and time is very important. Time is important to all of us, but time is extremely important when you're entrepreneurial and you're working from home. And again, most of us work in home offices, and you're talking about the square footage. Not all of us have a lot of square footage in our home offices either. So it needs to be as organized, not only to be able to find things, in my mind, but also so that we have more time during the day, because time is money. And
yeah, it is. And time is our most valuable commodity. It's the only thing you can't get more of. You can make more money, you could add on to your house, you could buy a storage shed, but the time we have is finite. We don't even know how much we're going to have ultimately, if you want to look at it that way. So I think time is a very important factor, and so it's really important that we find some solutions. And the first big step here is to get clear out the stuff that you really don't need and haven't used maybe even just think, what have I not really had a need for in the last year? That would take a lot of stuff out.
Wow, boy,
So what's next? What do we do next?
Okay, process number 2 is to contain it. Once you've weeded through and you've decided what you really need to keep, and maybe you've not even gone through everything, but you've decided, okay, I want to keep a paper copy of my bills. That's fine. I'm not going to, send the paper police out after you and say, you have to do something. I'm not here to tell you what you have to do. I'm just here to have you stop and think about it for a minute. And you say, okay, I would feel too uncomfortable to let go of my paper copies of my bills. Fine. Let's find a way that we can contain that with a flexible plan and a tool so that we can recoup it and keep track of it and put a limit. That's another part of contain, is limit how much of it you're going to take. So if you say I'm going to keep my bills, say I'm going to keep the past 12 months and figure out some kind of a system so that you can roll those over and just keep the last 11 or 12 months. That means the last 3 or 4 years worth of your electric bills are no longer necessary. You can let those go unless they have something to do with your taxes.
Right. That was the kicker is the
taxes. So I think finding some tools.
Well, Brian, do you want to tell everybody about what Debbie has agreed for our viewers?
Well, yeah. In fact,
what she's going to give them?
We just found out about this right before the show. Maybe you found out about it a little earlier than I did, Kathy, because I was away on vacation. But Debbie has offered everyone who's watching this show a free copy of her ebook. It's called Piece of Paper, Quick File System. And to obtain a copy of that, you simply go to our website. It is at businessmommentor.com/pop, P-O-P. And Business Mom Mentor, when you type it in, it will look a little strange. There are 2 M's together at the end of mom. businessmommentor.com/pop. All you have to do is opt in, and you will get a free copy of Debbie's ebook, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for making that offer, Debbie.
Yes.
You're very welcome. I know it is one of the best things that you can do if you don't have the time or the energy or the readiness to go back and clean out all the paper that you have. The best thing to do is start with the daily incoming paper. At least let's, put a finger in the dike here so that we can start to keep track and to really get control of what's still coming in. And once you can do that, maybe you'll be ready to go back and get rid of some of the old paper. Yeah, and that's what this piece of paper is about.
Excellent. And so in addition to that, what I'd also like to mention is those of you watching on internetcitadel.com is you can see Debbie's picture up to our, well, my left, your right of our video streaming live right now, or the recording. It will also be in the same location. Click right on her nose, right on that picture, and you'll be taken to one of her websites that will give you more insight as to who Debbie is and what makes her tick. Also, there's a link beneath us, Business Mom Mentor. Be sure to click on the banner beneath us. Yeah, we're like the Partridge Family pointing, or is it the Brady Bunch? Brady Bunch.
I know, I'm trying to figure out which way is right and left and up and down. Okay.
But first of all,
confusing.
Be sure to opt in via businessmommentor.com/pop and get that free ebook, and then go back and click on her nose and click on the banner on right from internetcitadel.com website and get more information about Debbie, because she has a lot of insight to help each and every one of us. I mean, I'm listening to all this thinking, my goodness, I could use so much help. So I now have somebody who can help me.
I keep watching you look around your room.
My goodness. Yeah, we're not
going to ask you to take the webcam off and pan the room.
It would be it would be too horrifying. It'd be like I said, shock and awe. No, it's not that bad. It's just one side.
It's a problem for most people.
Yeah, it's just one side of our room is absolutely plastered with office stuff.
I think it's a growing problem, Brian, because it requires time to deal with it.
Yes.
And we don't have enough time just to deal with the stuff we have to do, much less to deal with all this extra, stuff that's backlogged. So I think the sooner that you nip it in the bud and start to deal with, as with piece of paper, deal with what's coming in, so that you're not keeping as much and you are getting a system for dealing with that daily incoming paper. That's what piece of paper is about. It will help you to batch that paperwork so that you can be more effective in dealing with it more quickly, and it will also help you to start to set up some rhythm of getting it dealt with on a recurring basis so that it doesn't stockpile on you.
Right.
And in fact, using the system, I've been able to delegate that paper management to my office manager because I have used the piece of paper system myself for many years now, and it enabled me to hand that off, what would be my normal. I was handling my personal business, 2 businesses actually, my family, and 2 estates within my extended family.
Goodness.
So that's 5 pretty significant paper things.
Yes.
And I just, for matter of survival, had to use the piece of paper system, and that way I was able to delegate that off, and I have somebody that can come in and deal with that, whether it's me or whether it's dealt with by a local assistant office manager, and she deals with it in about 2 hours once a week.
Goodness, that's it? All right.
And I don't touch it.
That's testimony right there to the fact that your system works. I don't know if people are catching that are watching this on the show, but she hands off the duty of organizing her paperwork to someone else, not even a family member, using her system. So obviously this works. 2 hours a week. That's really not much, even for us as an individual to spend 2 hours a week. It may sound like a lot, but to get rid of the clutter I keep looking at over here, would it be worth it to me? Yeah, it would be really worth it, especially given square footage.
So if you use piece of paper and you have, if you're using the piece of paper system, you have somebody else start to take over that daily incoming paper and deal with most of that for you, then you take that 2 hours or whatever it is in your household, and you start to go back through and deal with some of the old stuff. That's the way you can dig yourself out.
Excellent.
Because you're going to have to dig yourself out, or your heirs are going to have to dig you out.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Margaret
somebody's going to get stuck with it.
That she just downloaded your book and just signed up for it and said thank you very much. And Brian, if you can repeat the web address one more time, please.
Sure. To get your free copy of Piece of Paper Quick File System, go to businessmommentor.com/pop. businessmommentor/POP. And just opt into a form there and get your copy of this ebook and start getting organized like I'm going to start getting organized. I'm thinking, is it too late for spring cleaning? Because, you know, even if it becomes summer, I'm going to do a summer cleaning because, my goodness.
Summer cleaning.
It would be nice. We not
Just
only
do
have
whatever
office,
you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know, I'm gonna think that, you know, even handing the delegation part off for some people is going to be a little difficult. You know what I mean? Again, it's because of that.
When you start using the piece of paper, you'll see that most of that stuff you don't really have to handle yourself anyway.
So the key is, if we read the ebook, that's going to tell us kind of the transition that we need to go through.
It's a very simple system. I am the queen of simplicity. Everything I do is so simple. My clients always say to me, I just wouldn't have thought of that. That was so easy. I just wouldn't have thought of that. It needs to be simple and it needs to be fun so that it's not complicated. Otherwise, when people think of getting organized, most people, especially creative entrepreneurial types, would rather get a root canal. It does not sound like something they want to do with their day. Does it? I mean, think about it.
No, it's not fun.
Well, it is fun when you get doing it. And, you know, I just have such a blast doing it.
The mess, it's the clean, you know, and creating the paper and all that stuff. I think I had shared with you the other day that I write a lot. So I'm always writing. And now I have notebooks full of things that I've written. And if I were to say, oh, I thought about that 3 weeks ago, and I look at the notebook, I'm like, where did I write it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to start typing it in my computer or talking on my Dragon Naturally Speaking and let it type it for me.
Well, I can give you some better solutions. We'll talk after the show.
Okay.
One of the things you need to realize when you're creating your systems, just a little tip here about creating systems, when it comes to dealing with the paper, you need to think, is this paper need to be in chronological order, or does it need to be just batched by topic? That makes a big differentiation in how you're going to store that paper, what kind of system you're going to use. And what you're doing is not storing it by subject or by topic. You're just storing it chronologically, which means you don't have a way to go back and retrieve it. If you're going to store it for a topic, you can just drop it into a hanging file, because whether it's, you know, the first or the last or the whatever, if it's just ideas of, not that I would encourage you to save these, but let's say if you were just saving decorating ideas or recipe ideas or exercises you might want to do someday, it doesn't necessarily have to be in a chronological order. So those kinds of things might go in just a hanging file. If you have something that you need to go back and find in a chronological order, then that is best kept in a ring binder.
Okay.
So that's two ways to...
I have binders too.
You probably do.
I have binders too.
And you probably need to think about how much of those do you actually go back and use. It's just a matter of really having a sit-down talk with yourself and saying, how much time do I want to spend doing this? Now, I'm not saying that you should never write any notes. I'm not saying that you don't have any great ideas coming along, because all of us have lots of bright, shiny objects that come into our lives. That's part of the personality type of the creative entrepreneur that I deal with especially. And so that's one of the things that makes it difficult, because you get started on this one project and then you've got, oh, well, I'm kind of bored with this. I think I'm going to go over and do a different project. And so does this sound familiar?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, you know, I'm giving you permission to get over the guilt that comes with that, because that's just part of your creative nature. And the reality is, it's that your creative nature is what makes you money. That's good. Right. But we just need to get the creative nature kind of directed in such a way that we can use it. And so the piece of paper is going to be a good topic to get you started with that.
I can't wait to read it
You want to know part 3? We've done clear and contain. Yes. You want to know the third part of the formula?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
The third part of the formula is to continue. And that kind of speaks to the idea that we really don't want to do this in the first place. A typical professional organizer might come in and set up a system or a file or clean out your office or whatever. But the reality is then that's probably going to just be back to go in about 6 months or less, because you haven't made the change. You haven't changed the decision of how much paper you want to keep and why you want to, why you want to keep certain things and why you want to get rid of other things. So in order to make it continuing, you've got to make that mental change that we talked about. Another piece of making it continuing is to find ways to automate it. For me, part of the automation system was to batch it so that I could set up a specific time, which I made an appointment with myself initially before I had an office manager. I just made an appointment in my planner every week. I happen to prefer Monday morning. First thing Monday morning, I like to kind of clear the deck so that I can actually think. And so I would save some time on Monday morning. I blocked that off in my planner. I didn't put any other appointments or obligations there. And then I made it pleasant. And the way you can make that pleasant, if you're dealing with paper, whether it's going through the old stuff or dealing with the daily piece of paper system, is to give yourself some perks. It might be you put a little plate of strawberries. Strawberries are in season right now, so maybe you put a beautiful plate of strawberries on your desk, and as you're working, you get to munch on your strawberries. Maybe you put on some favorite music. It could be Beethoven, it could be the Beatles. I don't really care, but something that you like to listen to, and I don't have to listen to it, so pick what you want. But put on some music that you like. Perky music is good because you'll throw away the paper faster. And also, give yourself permission to be comfortable. I would do this little work every Monday morning in my PJs and fuzzy slippers. That was the one time I didn't make myself dress to come work in my home office, which I think is important to do in business. But that was kind of like the child in me getting, the child part of your psychology gets to say, oh, but today I get to have recess, I'm not going to answer the phone. I don't have to do anything I didn't want to do. I'm going to sit here and eat strawberries and listen to my favorite music and wear my pajamas at my desk. So you've got to give yourself those little payoffs, and part of that's the celebrate part. So there's 3 parts in to continue. It's automate, find ways that you can reuse it and not have to do it over again. So maybe instead of recreating the article that you're writing, find ways to reuse that. The recording that you've just made, repurpose a lot of your things is important because that just saves you time. And then find ways to delegate, like we talked about, maybe giving it off to an assistant or maybe even a family member, hire a neighbor kid. There's lots of ways you can delegate a lot of the things that we do in our life that we spend time doing that we really aren't the one that has to be the one to do it, so that we have time to do the things that are real important. For me as a business mom, that's the important thing, is for me to still have time left over to spend with my kids and now my grandchild. And so that's what I did today. My office was under control. My office manager came in Monday. We took care of all the paperwork. It was done. We went to the pool this afternoon. So to me, that's a good trade-off. I'd rather go to the pool with my kids and my grandkids than I would, sit in my office all day dealing with a whole bunch of paper and looking for stuff that I can't find. And then you have to celebrate, because, again, that psychological child is going to say, I ate my peas and I did not get dessert. So if you don't do something, some kind of a payoff, that you can give yourself a popsicle, you can give yourself time to go read a book out on your deck, you can, don't go to the store and buy more stuff, but do something that is a perk for you, a bubble bath, a manicure, a pedicure, whatever. Do something specifically that you said, okay, when I get this project done, whether it's sorting through this file folder in my file drawer or a banker's box of paper, when I get that done, then my reward, my little kid in me, is going to get to do X, Y, Z. And that's an important piece. Don't overlook that celebrate piece, or you'll still be looking at that paper next week.
Well, one thing I have to interject here is that by getting rid of your paper, you look absolutely beautiful, because you do not look like a grandma. So I'm just
and
saying,
I started late, and my grandchildren came late.
So I'm just saying to all of the women out there, get rid of the paper, because then you get to look young and beautiful and be a grandma. So that's amazing. Get rid of the paper.
Well, and that's
it's burying you.
Yeah, and Kathy's saying that in a light way, but I sat right next to Debbie in San Francisco, and when she started talking about her grandkids, I did a double take, literally going, you do not look old enough to have any grandkids. So my thought was, you must have started awful darn early, but you're saying no.
No, I didn't start early, and my grandchildren didn't come early either.
So yes, you're
it's that paper.
Well,
the
it's a lot of it's clutter in general, because that does weigh you down. It causes stress.
Stress, exactly.
It's a lot of time you have to spend dealing with it, and I think we have to make some really clear, conscious decisions about what we're going to spend our time doing. And, as some of us are getting to ages and stages where we're dealing with aging parents, or maybe we've lost our parents, and you start to realize, life is pretty finite here. And how much of it do you want to spend dealing with paper? Not that much. I don't love it that much. It's not that much fun. So, I deal with what I have to deal with, and then I start asking myself, do I really need this anymore? Clean it out. If you would go through almost any office that I've ever worked in, you will find that there is paper from projects they used to do, meetings they used to give, products they used to sell, businesses they used to have. You're not at that age and stage anymore. It's not serving you. It's over.
Yeah, that is most of
and
what
it's okay.
I keep looking
You've
at.
grown past that. You've grown past it. Technology's grown past it. Do you want to go back and deal with that again? No. Do I want to go back and be a teenager again? I had a good time the first time, but I'm done. I don't need to keep that again. And so I think if it's not something, and a lot of people keep a lot of memorabilia. That can be a lot of paper too.
Yes.
I'll just throw one thought in here because it's summertime and the kids are out of school. But one of the things that I find a lot of people have a lot of paper stacked up is their kids' artwork or papers from school, and you're saving those. What I have recommended lately to several of the business moms I work with is now you can, most of us have availability to some kind of a digital camera, video camera, or whatever. But take a picture of your kid or a video of your kid with this piece of paper or with this art project from summer camp, and have the kid talk about it. I made this for my mom, and it was made out of clay, and we did this and we did that. Then you're saving not just this junky piece of an ashtray, and you don't even smoke, but you've got the kid, and you're preserving the memory of the kid, and that's really what's important to you. So find some ways to save it in a more usable form, so that you'll have a way you could throw the DVD into the player and enjoy it, instead of having just crates and crates of boxes in your garage or your basement or your attic.
That's a great
that
idea.
Nobody's going to go through till you die.
Yeah, that's
that makes
great
perfect
idea.
sense. Our daughter is going to be 39 in a few weeks, right? And the macaroni that she glued on this little deal when she was in kindergarten is getting a little brittle, okay? So I think it's maybe what I'll do on her birthday, I'll have her come over and she can hold it. She did it when she was 5. I'll have her hold it. It's missing a few macaroni, elbow macaroni. I'll take a picture of her now, and then I'll keep it so that I have a few things. I could just have her lay on the carpet and lay all this stuff around her, maybe. And
shoot it on a video. Have her talk about it. I remember when I made this in the first grade, or the brownies, or the Cub Scouts, or
she probably doesn't
whatever
even
they did.
remember. Are you kidding me?
Probably doesn't. And probably will look at that and say, "Mom, are you serious? Do you still have that? Oh my goodness."
Probably.
Some kids will and some won't. But the point is, we've saved a lot of stuff that has just become junk and clutter. Do you ever take it out and enjoy it? No. So if it's memorabilia that you're not enjoying, you look at it and say, do I use it? Do I like it? Do I love it? Do I want to look at it or play with it every day? Or am I just stuffing it in a closet? If that's the case, it probably needs to go out.
I would say, especially the old macaroni noodles. They're low on the old side.
And, most moms have that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, for everyone watching, a quick reminder, let's be sure to get the free ebook that Debbie has so graciously offered that she has written, called Piece of Paper Quick File System. That can be obtained, again, at businessmommentor.com/pop. After you retrieve that ebook, all you have to do is opt in. Once again, is just opt in. It's 100% free. Then be sure to click on her nose and then on her banner beneath us and find out more information about Debbie. In that light, Debbie, this book, it's got information on how we can get started, but what other services might you offer to help people to really do this seriously and take care of their clutter?
Well, my whole passion is to help people, business moms and other people, whether they're moms or whether they're even female, or in or out of business. So anybody who's really ready to simplify their life, and I think there's scads of us walking around the planet, is to find ways to simplify your life. So I have several different systems that I have available. They're available as digital downloads. They're available as shippable products. I do I call them teleparties because we're going to have a good time.
Right.
I do group teleparty classes. I do private one-on-one work, both virtually through the internet, the webcam, the digital photos, whatever, and also I do work on-site, even internationally. So if you're looking for some help to get it simplified, there's a wide variety of price ranges and options there for you. And the best place to see that is what you said, Brian, is businessmommentor.com. Now, when people opt in for that free ebook, they're also going to get my subscription to my free Smart Cut Solutions e-zine. And so there'll be notifications in there of the different classes that I'm holding and when those are coming available and the different products that are coming up. The last product I did was how to run your business without your kids running amok, which is great for the parents in the summertime.
I like that one.
I have a meal system and a travel system and office. The piece of paper is a segment of the whole Office Simplified system. So it's kind of an hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah, the one that caught my eye was private fairy godmother makeovers for your home or office.
Right.
I'm curious.
I'll be leaving in a week or two to go do another fairy godmother routine. I have my little fairy godmother wand here.
I love it.
So I can tap you on the head. Yeah, I have to have my little fairy godmother. If I can't go into your camera, I tap you on the head.
Sounds like something you should take camera equipment with you and make a show out of. That would be, because of makeover, it has that connotation. That would be, like the nanny and.
There's a lot of guilt involved. So some people would like to have the little thing where they blur out your face, But yeah, and usually I ask people to take photos before, the before and after pictures, and constantly they're like, oh, I don't want to take the before pictures. But when we're finished, they're just dying to see the befores because now it's like the fairy godmother just, works the magic on it, and it's a whole different deal. And it's not necessarily a matter of perfection. I think that's another piece of the turnoff and the fear of working with. I don't really call myself a professional organizer because to me that's just the cleaning up part. I really want that's part of the deal. But then you need to have a system in place to keep it maintainable and keep it moving forward. And so I call myself a simplification strategist. I made that up.
I like it.
Took a long time to think of it, but that's what I do. I help people create simple strategies that are very customized just to their own way of doing things. There's some things that are generic that most people can use or can modify a little bit, but certain things need to be very customized just to your situation, your age, your stage, your household, your business.
I'm just curious.
Now, somebody wanted to get.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just curious about that makeover.
Wanted to. Here we go.
We love this.
Sorry,
we get excited.
All together now.
All right, ladies first.
Go ahead.
Ladies first.
I was going to say, do you happen to have like books and CDs or DVDs that are separate from the course that you offer that people could get to kind of help them through the process, or is that something that's available? Or
I'm not sure I understand the question. I have books and DVDs and audios and videos and all kinds of things. They're by topic. So if you're looking to organize your office, you would look in the Meals Simplified. There's several URLs, but you can get to all the products at Business Mom Mentor too. And you can see in the store, that's where you can see about them. But I have them for the office. My original system was the Meals program because that's the place that an overwhelmed mom can really buy back the most time in a hurry, is to simplify the meals. My meal system, I can shop for my family for a month in 1 hour, and it now includes my recipe collection that I personally use that has over 30 recipes you can put on the table in 15 minutes or less. And I am a lifetime member of Weight Watchers, so they're all, decent nutrition. They're normal food. Your husband, your kids would eat it. I have people that are into raw food, vegan, vegetarian, you name it. and the system can be used for any of that. Of course, the recipes would be a bonus. That particular meals book also comes with a kitchen organizing book. It tells you how to set up your kitchen.
Well, I have to tell you, with not being very clear in my question, you answered it very well. That's exactly what I was thinking. Thank you.
And I was,
yeah, it's by topic because you need to pick one area that you're ready to tackle. I have about 12 sitting on the shelf that we're working on here.
wow.
So
Okay.
we've only begun.
Yeah.
Now, I had a quick question about going back to that private fairy godmother makeover. I just love that title. But I know that this would vary from client to client and situation to situation, but on average, what would you say how long it takes to actually complete the makeover at one of your clients' locations or facilities?
Good question.
I work by the project, not by the hour,
Okay.
because I think if you're hiring somebody to do what I do by the hour, you have no idea. I mean, you might as well just hand them the credit card and be done with it. So I give a quote by the project. I can, if I'm going to do a physical on-site project, usually we'll do that in a day. An office, I can knock out an office pretty well in a day.
Wow.
I'm going to be doing one in a week or two, as I said, and I'm going to be spending 2 days with that client. That's usually about the longest I will stay. I worked 2 days in England a while back. I work a lot out of state and out of country, but usually one day you can move a mountain. It can be a magical makeover in a day.
That's incredible. That's very surprising.
If I'm if I'm working virtually, because if I'm working virtually through a teleconference or a video or something like that, we're going to start doing some more with video cams right now. Those I usually take like a day and a half over a weekend, and I'll have the person just set aside the day, and I'll work with them, and then I'll say, okay, go do this project, and then let's call back in an hour and check in and see where you're going, and I coach them through the next piece, that kind of thing. And about a day and a half, I can run you ragged. This client said she wanted me more than 2 days. I said, I don't think so. I'm going to get so much done in 2 days. You're going to be ready for me to go home.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you were telling me that you had gone somewhere to visit a friend at some time, and she made kind of a joke, like, what do you want to do? You want to clean my basement or something? And you got all excited and said, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, she said, tonight we could either go to the movies or we could clean out my basement. I said, oh, let's clean the basement. She thought I was nuts.
So that is dedication, folks.
It's just, some people play the piano, some people draw and paint. I clean closets and basements. It's just, the neat thing is and I told you this the other day, when I go in, I see the mess. So there's no guilt involved for me, no judgment involved. So I see the mess as though a flash went off in a dark room. And that's as long as I see it. And from that moment forward, all I see is the final result, and I just can't get there fast enough.
Wow.
So it's fun.
You were definitely meant to do what you do, that's for sure. And you're not going to believe it. It happens, and I always say this when it comes time for the bewitching hour, but we have been on for an hour. And Debbie, I think I said the other day, it passes so darn quick.
Yes.
But I just want to thank you so much. I'm so excited that we had the opportunity to meet you in San Francisco recently. We also met a lot of other delightful people, and several of them are going to be on the show in coming weeks, so we're excited about that. But thank you so much for taking your time to come on and share and give us all of these tips. And above all, your free ebook. That is amazing. Yes. I actually got a copy. Brian's got one too. He hasn't opened it yet because he just got back off vacation. But yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. I'm excited to start putting some of that into practice. And maybe having you come out here and enjoy some of the sunshine in the Sierra Nevada foothills with me. But for me, I just want to tell you,
in the winter, my rates are probably really good in the winter because I live in Salt Lake City, so it gets cold. I'm a Southern belle.
Yeah, it snows here too, though, so it wouldn't be fun.
Oh.
You need to come in the spring or the summer.
Okay.
But anyway,
I'll come in the pretty weather.
There you go. I'm going to turn it back over to Brian and say thank you again, Debbie, for joining us tonight. Brian?
It hardly ever snows here. You're welcome here anytime.
Great.
And for those
desert.
Yes, for those watching, I'm in Southern California. Kathy's in more Northern California, And Debbie, you're in Utah, correct?
Utah.
Near
Yeah.
Salt Lake City.
Right. So, so yeah, you can come over anytime. Door is open, and we'll prepare a meal. It will take longer for the meal to be prepared for you, but it'll be good because we're not that good at preparing meals in 15 minutes yet. Maybe you can teach us that too.
I can.
But I also want to echo what Kathy said, and Debbie, thank you so much for spending the time not only on our show tonight, but there is some preparation work that goes into this, and we appreciate you, adhering to our demands, so to speak, on how to test and get ready for this. And we did have some issues, but you came through like a trooper, and we appreciate that. Everyone's time is valuable, as we have already mentioned on the show. Kathy, once again, my dear friend, you keep this thing going. You are the glue that holds us together. I'm on vacation. Kathy's working her tail off on getting everything set up and ready for the show. So I appreciate you and appreciate your friendship. And for everyone watching, we appreciate you as well for coming on and watching. We thank you. Be sure to, once again, click on Debbie's nose, click on her banner. But before you do any of that, go to businessmommentor.com/pop and get her free ebook. And then from there on, you will get an automated newsletter from her with updates regarding various things that she has going on that she can help you with. And I highly recommend you take this seriously, take her seriously on bringing in her services to your place of business or even your home. I'm looking at mine thinking, boy, I could use this. So anyway, without further ado, I'd like to say thanks once again to all, and we will see you once again next week. All right, bye-bye now.
Bye.
Good night.